Welcome back to my Mental Health and Crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders. These are the articles that I'm still digging up from the beginning of the case. Some are speculation, some are facts. So we need to make up our own minds. But these are mostly from social media. I always believe that the beginning of every case has some truth in it. How the 911 was made on the roommate's phone and by someone else, and why the call went out for an unconscious person. While the bystander was on the phone with 911, the other roommates were hysterical, trying to explain that something was wrong with Ethan. By this point, several more people had stopped to see what was happening, and one or two of them went into the house to see if they could help them. There was multiple people in the yard at that time, and those people began contacting their friends that someone in the house was badly hurt. Someone called Ethan, his brother, Hunter, to tell him something was wrong with his brother because he lived close to the house, and someone called one of the other victim's boyfriend, that has to be Jake, as he was also Ethan's best friend. They didn't go into details on if either of those boys had arrived. Just hold on. Okay, so there were multiple people in the yard at that time, and those people began contacting their friends that someone in the house was badly hurt. Someone called Ethan's brother Hunter to tell him something was wrong with his brother, poor boy, because he lived close to the house. And someone called one of the other victim's boyfriend, as he was also Ethan's best friend. They didn't go into details on or if of those other boys had. They didn't go into details on if either of those boys had arrived before the paramedics did, but it did kind of sounded like they did. So there were multiple of people and bystanders who entered the house. So the crime scene was already tampered with. They didn't go into details on what kind of injuries Ethan suffered. They also didn't say if anyone went to check on the other roommates before the paramedics arrived, but it somewhat implied that someone had. The only details they gave above the scene itself was that it was incomprehensibly bloody. So it was a bloody scene. We knew that from the start. And people were walking in and out. Bystanders were even involved. This is serious. Sad. While those people were in the house checking on Ethan and possibly the other roommates, the paramedics arrived to a very chaotic scene, believing they were there to assess an unconscious person outside, but were redirected to go inside to help someone who was hurt very badly. So they walked into the house unaware that it was a crime scene, contaminated most of everything on the second floor. It doesn't sound like the roommates were roaming throughout the house carelessly. You'll have the whole page there, so you can take your time to read it. I believe this was the person who wrote it. My heart breaks for these two poor innocent young females. Not only had they experienced a trauma so brutal that it can't, what kind of English is it? That it can't change who they are at their core. But they also have to live with the fear that someone might be coming for them, and they grieve of loss for 4 friends, plus a life that they once had that will never exist again. And if that wasn't traumatizing enough, they also get to live with millions of people publicly criticizing, persecuting, and incorrectly judging them for actions people assume they may have or not have taken. Some of the comments left on the IG pictures of the victims, especially the ones the survivors were tagged in, were beyond nasty, if not right down cruel. I don't understand how our society has become so inhuman. It sounds like the surviving roommates' behaviors were 100% appropriate for the situation they found themselves in. Okay, I don't understand that. I feel sorry for the surviving roommates, but there are thousands of questions, millions of questions that remain. Especially after seeing Dylan with the ski mask and a boyfriend. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to think. It doesn't take 8 hours to call the police. And there's no excuse for the fact that they called the Sigma Chi boys before the police. If they couldn't open the door and the door was being blocked, why didn't you just call 911 and the fire brigade? It's their job. Firefighters will kick in the door, do whatever they have to do in a mindful way. So it doesn't make sense. This was the red Mustang that was found not far from the girl's house, the victim's house. It was badly vandalized, or I don't know what happened there. The forensics were there. You can see clearly. This was the next day of the murder. I believe the 13th or the 14th. Yeah, that's the forensics, definitely. You see one on the left, one on the right. This was the GoFundMe that was created, I believe, after 3 a.m. at night or something like that. Not really sure. If anyone knows in the comment, please let me know. But it was very sketchy. Was somebody waiting in Bethany Funke's room, I wonder? Is that why Brian Koberger wants to speak to her? Even the other room has a crime scene tape, and I've seen forensics doing their investigation basically with those brushes and all. Look at the detectives pointing their fingers towards the trees. Did the suspect come from that side or leave any evidence? This is what the police had in the first couple of days. I'm sure this is when the roommates called the police. None of them have masks on. Look at the forensics just going in and out, with no forensic gear. You would have thought for a second that this wasn't the crime scene. Look at the forensics once again, no mask, no gear. It's a living room, I guess. This is where Elan Harsh lives in one building and John Showalter in the other. If you walk up the steps and you look on the other side, you see Maddie's room clearly without curtains. Wonder if someone was watching them, peeping from there. This is all allegedly allegedly. This was the Perf Fraternin. Per Fratern. Bro, you can see the King Road's house from both the David's Essex room. Once the third floor light turned off, they did it. 19 minutes total, walk included. Talked about this SHIT at Bishop Kelly, I wonder if that's Queen Kelly, and Essex, Lott, Andy got into a fight that night, X allegedly talking shit. L had probs with Mads or so. This shit been brewing since fall rush last year. CNTS went quite on 2 weeks before and after the deed. Barry's mom a paralegal, so he knows what to say and what not to say. Lord cleared his SM. Yeah. I really believe the Sigma Chi boys have something to do with it. I've said that in over 2 months, I guess. These were all the things that were in the post from the Fortune, allegedly. These were the speculations and rumors going online. I wonder where these three and Saeed, where these four came from. And the four figures running. I really believe they're involved. I wonder if one of them is the two Davids, or actually two of them are the Davids. They blurred their faces, but and people tell me that he isn't wearing a glove. Can't you see, guys? He has a glove on his right hand, and one glove was found in front of the crime scene. There is allegedly Maddie's jacket, or the long coat. It's behind this black box. You see the three boys standing behind this blue car, and then one of them nudges the other, and he tries to push it in, kick it in. The lights in the backyard is usually on. Was it off that night? Did the surviving roommates put it off, allegedly? So sad, so heartbreaking. May the victims rest in peace. This was right before Christmas last year, before Thanksgiving. Hope justice is served. What is interesting is, could the suspect come from here, this side? Because you can clearly see that it's more darker this side. If they came out from that side, they would have been seen, I guess. You can see where the blue lights is. That's the Sigma Chi fraternity. Look at how close it is to the girl's house. So all they had to do, allegedly, is just run back home. 19 minutes like they predicted. Adam, what did Maddie and Kaylee, what did Maddie tell you actually? And Jack D, why didn't you answer the phone calls the girls made to you? Did you know that something was going down? The three jacks. This was on the 7th of December. Moscow, Idaho police put this up. The crime scene was expanded. So were they hiding in the bushes? The suspects, the alleged suspect. Let's hope these young women talk. Let's hope they will let the cameras roll in the courts. Please like, share, and subscribe. Condolence to the families. Rest in peace to the victims. These two have a lot of explaining to do. Bye.